We're not the Celtics. We're not the Bulls. We're a young team trying to find our way within this unbelievable conglomeration of teams.
I think we have the most beautiful game if it's played the right way.
Come out every night, play the right way like Coach wants us to.
And Wallace with the denial.
We got to get off to a great start.
It's the first ever home playoff game for this Charlotte franchise.
Another playoff run would be great.
And the playoffs is definitely our goal. We're one of those teams that are going to make you play your hardest game.
All right, basketball fans, gather around the TV. It's time for the Charlotte Bobcats half hour here in the preseason on NBA TV. This is the Bobcats team preview. Rick Kamla, Mike Fratello, Steve Smith. We're going to be hanging out talking about the Bobcats, and we get it started with this. Last year was a warm, fuzzy vibe for them. They make the playoffs for the first time. They get their first All-Star. Michael Jordan buys the team. Smitty, he's now in his first season as the full-time owner. But is this team necessarily heading up, north, south? What's the direction of this team as we look ahead to 10-11?
Well, Rick and Mike, I think east and west. The one thing I like about the Charlotte Bobcats, no, they didn't add a lot in the summertime, but they have guys that will come into training camp and they will catch teams early who are trying to figure out their identity. They will play hard. That's Larry Brown's staple. So I have this team east and west, status quo.
Right now, look at some of the details on last year for the Bobcats. 44-38, best record in franchise history. They get Captain Jack in November, change the whole team. Jordan takes over. Gerald Wallace makes the All-Star team. They had the best defense in the NBA last year. Their offense wasn't too good, though. We're going to talk about that later in the show. First playoff appearance, you see it right there. And Gerald Wallace, the first All-Star in Charlotte Bobcat franchise history. The two most important positions, center and point guard, they downgraded in the offseason. Smitty, check this out. They go from Kwame to Tyson Chandler. Chandler's now in Dallas. Livingston replaces Felton, and obviously DJ Augustine will now be the starting PG. They get Matt Carroll. They get Eduardo Nahara. They get Dominic McGuire, and they lose Alexia Jinsa in that Dallas trade that sent Chandler to the Mavericks. So you take a look at that board, Smitty. That's going the wrong way.
It is. I think the one spot we talk about center, yes, Tyson Chandler. You look at it for Kwame Brown, you would think of advantage Tyson Chandler, but he was pretty much hurt his entire time in Charlotte. So I think you look at Larry Brown, everything was by center by committee. So I think they'll be okay at their center spot because I think they'll play small anyway. You can move boards. And Nazr Muhammad is not bad. But I think at the point guard spot, they might struggle because Raymond Felton and DJ Augustine was a great combination. But I do look for Steven Jackson handling the basketball more and DJ Augustine, who I think can shoot the basketball at a higher rate without the basketball than Raymond Felton. They should be okay. But I think the point guard spot is hurting more than the center spot.
The projected starting five for your Charlotte Bobcats is DJ taking over for Ray, Jack and Wallace at the 2 and 3. Very few NBA teams are better at those positions than that. Diaw at the 4, Nazr Muhammad at the 5. Behind him, Jop and Kwame. You see the other key reserves, Henderson, Tyrus Thomas, and yes, Sean Livingston.
Charlotte is one of the top defensive teams in the league, as they were first in points allowed last season. They do a solid job of getting back in transition and forcing opponents to execute in the half court. Once in the half court, they will pressure the ball, hard show pick and rolls, front the low post, and deny passes. You must also be alert for Bobcat wing defenders, shooting the gap and gambling in the passing lanes for steals, especially Gerald Wallace and Steven Jackson. Charlotte slows the pace of the game, so every possession is important. Be disciplined. Take care of the ball and execute for great shots every possession. Run hard for layups, deep post-ups, and open jumpers before they can set their half-court defense.
The Bobcats make the playoffs last year. Is there a repeat trip in the offing this year?
They were 7th in the Eastern Conference last year, faced Orlando, swept in the first round 4-0. This prediction is not going to be bright and shiny for the Bobcats. In their own division, Southeast, you have Miami, Orlando, Atlanta, Washington. They could finish 5th in their own division.
I think they're one of 3 teams that'll be fighting for that 8th spot. I think they will hover around. It'll come down to maybe the last 2 weeks of the season. But I love Larry Brown. I love the guys in Steven Jackson and Gerald Wallace. They're just tough. They will fight. And I think they'll be fighting for that 8th spot at the end of the season.
And based on what you guys have documented, it's a pretty good debate right now. What is the best division in basketball? The Southeast, the Southwest, or the Northwest? Those are very competitive divisions. Debate amongst yourselves. We're done. For Steve Smith, Mike Fratello, and our crew, I'm Rick Kamla, thanking you for watching the Bobcats team preview show here on NBA TV.